Okay, look, I'll see you in about an hour. Hmm. Hmm. So we're now going to end a series of rather complex, I suppose. Not complex because it is difficult to understand, but complex because 15 different talks will all link together. Now, when I say 15, some are given by the medium and some by myself. Now, these 15 will all relate to a topic that becomes relevant to where we are to go in this series of talks. Now, the idea behind linking all these together is to show you the way that the manifestation of your physical form comes out of the nothing, out of the akashic, out of the silence, out of the stillness, out of the awareness. And how your actions lead to one incarnation after another, or not. So these series of talks at this time will give a little structure, but will link to other talks which will be given at other times. So those of you which are studying within the individual groups will also be able to refer back to this talk and understand part of it. But if you are not attending those groups, then you will also have some knowledge that you will understand. This in part is to show you the intelligence of the way spirit work. And you will notice that at talks to be given during July and August, they will also relate to each other. So for this month and into next month, April and May, we'll understand and take a journey into the way desire and attachments influence the incarnated form. And in July and August, we'll undertake a discussion into love and the path of bhakti, or devotion work, the way of the heart, the way of love, the way of surrender. Now, if you remember, we ended the last series of talks with a brief description of the way incarnation happens by the touch of spirit and matter, and the way the prana builds up from within and gives a desire for life, and the life then comes into existence. So let me briefly explain that again, but in a simple way, I would hope. So in the depth of your being, there are many layers. Some would say these are the layers of spirit, of soul, of mind, and of form, of matter, or the physical body, if you prefer that word. So let us look at these individually, quite briefly, and show how they all link together. So spirit is a state of stillness and completion, state of peace, a state of love, and a state of full potential. It is not limited to any one form. It is not defined by boundaries, and hence it is eternal. In its stillness, it waits. Does not watch anything in particular, but is capable of watching everything. This state, being still, is often called akashic for some. But this is not truly a full description. Because this is the state of pure potential, then everything must start and come out of spirit, of akashic. of potential. And as soon as that awareness focuses on a particular object or a particular lifetime, then that is called consciousness. So consciousness will watch a particular form or groups of forms and watch the way that life is being lived, not attached to it, but focused intensely on it, capable of stepping back from it, but choosing to hold its gaze on that life being lived. And then the life is lived and created through the state of mind, and the physical form goes where the mind tells it. Now, so let's go back right to the very beginning and look at awareness or spirit. Because this is the state of pure potential, from within it, a bubble starts to arise. And if the awareness focuses on that bubble, it will become conscious and watch the way that bubble will come to the surface. And that bubble is, in fact, prana, life force. And the life force is the desire for life. In effect, it's the desire to come out of the purity into the limited. And therefore is also encouraged by the desires and attachments of the individual person. So if you have desires or attachments in your life, you can be assured that you will come back to earth or be reborn once more, or a physical form is born once more. And the consciousness will then watch that new life. Now, when that life ends, everything returns back up the channel, if you would like, into consciousness and then into awareness, by first going through the mind space of astral world, the world of mind, but the mind that's not connected to any particular physical form. So this is why in the private groups we are studying desires and attachments. And this is also why a series of talks are being given about showing you the process of the mind collapsing to what is beyond the mind, and the way desires and attachments will keep you into the process of rebirth all the time. Now, this is not a simple process to understand. And I've tried to explain it simply. So what you must work on is the removing of your desires and attachments, your wheel of samsara, if you wish not to be born or have another physical life, and to remain in the purity of spirit. You see, at the process of your demise, your physical demise, your death, if you were but to think of a sweetness of a mango fruit, then your incarnation would perhaps be certain, and you may be born again, but this time as an insect. You see, your desires at that point will ensure that the wheel of samsara will rotate one more time. And you would live a life based upon the desire that you have. So sometimes people say that the correct phrase or the process is to die in the morning so you do not need to die in the evening. Now, this has nothing to do with your physical death, although when you first hear it, that may be the confusion. But it is a way of realizing who you truly are in the morning, to realize your spiritual nature that is undisturbed, that is unhurt, that cannot be damaged, that is forever pure. So you do not have to, or will not, undertake another less than pure physical incarnation. So this sounds like quite a grand description of the process of life and afterlife. How does it affect the way you live? What holds you to your physical life and causes you the most concern is the attempt to control life and for it to work in certain ways, to go towards what is pleasurable and to avoid what is painful. And therefore, the desire of what is comfortable comes into your mind, and your attempt to run the life means that you will then feel happiness or sadness, feel regret, feel sorrow, sadness, incompleteness, the feeling of lack, the feeling of missing out, the feeling of, if only I could be this, then I would be happy. It would be far easier for you all to let go of the throat of your own life. So you allow your spiritual truth to guide and to work through you and desire nothing, knowing spirit will take care of everything. You journey through life then with more peace and serenity. You allow the non-physical world to guide and to run your life, and you just watch the flow of it all playing out in front. The more you push, manipulate, control, or attempt to interfere with the life, the more pain that you will have, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. The more you surrender to the purity of flow of what must be, the easier your life will work. Life will work its own way the more you interfere with it, the more difficulty you will have. And the guarantee of a rebirth builds ever stronger within your being. So it is an opening of the heart and allowing the heart to be true to itself. Allowing this first to be in the world the way you watch the world with love, rather than watching the world with the control of the ego mind. If you were to undertake and witness a great calamity of life, if you truly look at yourself at this time of the most pain and the most difficult of situation, is it not true that within yourself you are forever complete? Only when you associate yourself with the pains of the body, the challenges of the mind, the difficulties of circumstances that are in front of you, then your pain arises. And this covers over your complete. And you think that is then real, but it is not. Look within yourself. Notice that there is one that forever watches. The observer, if you want that word, forever watches the life and is unhindered by anything that occurs in that life. And if you were but to practice being that observer and watching, and if you watch the way the observer lives, you'll notice that that is forever present during your waking hours and your sleeping hours. It does not change. But with practice, you'll realize that the observer, the conscious state of the soul, is boundless and like an endless lake with no shore. But this is the process of watching. During one's meditation, when you become sufficiently practiced, there are times when there are stillness of mind. Or you're aware of the stillness of mind. And what you are doing is choosing the stillness, to look at the stillness rather than to look at the thought. In that still mind state, some say it is the mindless state, or the state of no mind, if you would like to be Buddhist. This is the state of soul. And you can watch And if you can hold your attention in that state for sufficient time, the awakening to love will also come. It is certain. So love and awareness are always present for you. Now, I wish, after the healing list, to take this talk into the chakra system and the way the Kundalini energy arises through the chakra system. And this must link also with the first part of today's talk. So let's take a short break and have the healing list of names now, please, Brenda.
Ross, Amanda K, Alex, Karen, Nisha Ann, Christina N, Maria, Anne Marie Lynch, Maddie, Yvonne and Bernard, Jen H, Debbie P, Petra R, Lara, Carrie G, Deborah, Teresa, Courtney, Hendricks, Lorna, Justin, Jasmine, and Ben. Thank you.
So if you think of the chakra system as being a journey from the physicality at the base chakra to the expansiveness of self-knowledge at the crown chakra. You could say that the base chakra is the physical chakra relating to the physical world, and you could say that the crown chakra is related to the spiritual world. And there is a flow of, or the possibility of a flow of energy between the two extreme chakras, which would flow along the Sushumna line. Now, the Sushumna line would expand beyond both of these chakras. This has other names. Sutra Atma. At the base of the base chakra, the life force of the physical person is often stored there in its full potential. It has been suppressed through each of the levels of chakra. So there is cover after cover after cover, which holds this coiled energy at the base chakra. And as one evolves spiritually, then the life force, the Kundalini, the coiled serpent, is allowed to open just a little more. So one who is very, let us say, heavy into the physical life would never know of this energy that is stored at the base of the spine. But one who begins spiritual work would start to ease these covers, these suppressions of this energy. And the energy would start to expand. And as the person does more spiritual work, the energy would grow through each of the chakras very steadily. And one who becomes very spiritual would start to release this coiled serpent beyond the solar plexus and into heart. Now, at this time, the covers which are holding or suppressing the energy become weaker, not as strong as what they first was. So there is possibility that this life force may trickle out and trickle through the rest of the chakras, illuminating them very slightly, not in the full potential of all the Kundalini, but just let's call it a leakage. The heart may be invigorated, the mind may also be invigorated by spiritual knowledge. So one then who is spiritual at this level would see their heart starting to expand and wanting to love and aid others, wanting to assist, wanting to heal, to care for, to consider. The level of kindness starts to increase. The selfishness becomes more external. So they consider more of the needs of others. The flow of energy starts to flow more dominantly, either through the leakage or through the expansion, or by the removing of the koshas which sit in the way. It's very natural at this stage for people to feel that their energy is wider. It is more expansive. There are bigger presences around them. So if you look then at this person, they now have an opportunity to either expand spiritually or to suppress the energy so that one works in the physical. And right at this border point of the solar plexus, one has a choice of allowing spirit into their life or deciding to be in more control of their life and then resisting the natural flow of life force or impulse or spiritual desire to flow through the being. This is the border, the solar plexus. Interestingly, this is often referred to the point of connection to spirit, the flow of energy arriving. The sense of being, the sense of well-being, the sense of self-esteem at this level. Do you go above or do you hold back? If the energy is sufficiently strong enough and the person is opening sufficiently well, they will feel like their self-esteem now is buoyant and they feel confident in their level and will be willing to explore. There are a few who would understand that the boat has been built. The boat built on safety, connection, and self-esteem. and the desire for adventure arises, and one would step forward. The desire into spiritual adventure will also become prevalent. If one cannot change physically their exterior world, they will change their interior world. And the opening of the spiritual being will become so strong if it's allowed to happen, that the expression through the heart must happen. And the building then of those who wish to express their spiritual nature through the various cities that are given, the various spiritual gifts which now become available to the person, either in music or in words, in application, or even the gift of psychic skill. So even the psychic skills and these gifts look downwards towards the physical world, but bring the joining of the non-physical world into the physical. So if you have aches and pains, where are they? Where are they influencing and limiting you? Your spiritual stepping stone now is set, and it lays in front of you at this point of solar plexus. Do you step forward spiritually, allowing spirit fully into the life, letting go of the control which, if you go backwards, you'll be bound by? Do you open up? The selfless heart then begins to shine, and the Kundalini energy rises one more step. And the brightness of being now becomes radiant that others will begin to recognize. And one shines from the heart. And shines into the exterior world. And people are drawn to the heart of another. And therefore, what is separate starts to become unified, as people start to be attracted to the love and the loving of the individual. But the feeling of spirit is not spirit. And one here, although it is beautiful to stay in this state of loving, knows that there is still something missing. And one at this state wants to give away their love through all their creativity that is possible and all the expression of the world. And the awakening of the Kundalini energy grows still further. But now the strange thing happens. In the physical world, there is the desire for expression. But there is a limitation to the expression. Because you can only express what you know. And this will not give you the knowledge of spirit. The experience of spirit, forgive me. The knowledge of spirit is not the experience of spirit. So again, at this point, knowledge beyond the mind starts to arrive to the individual. Knowledge they should not know. Beyond what is experienced in that life form. And again, with practice and with skill, the opening into knowing more things, being aware of more circumstance beyond the limitation of what is on the end of the nose or end of the ears. Now, this rising of the Kundalini energy, as each of these koshas is slightly to be removed and eased, they may remove with a snap and a bang. Not that anything is wrong, but they cave in and open and allow the stronger flow of energy to surpass whatever is blocking the way. And if the Kundalini energy was to rise to its potential within the mind space, it awakens the soul that witnesses. And there are sensations beyond the senses, as all levels of the mind are now vibrating. But not the limited mind or the brain of the individual, but beyond. And one then becomes aware, if they can control this energy at this stage, of the life force that exists within, or is given to that physical being. So the Kundalini energy is within all. The vast majority do not know. Many will rise it just a little. Those in the spiritual form will rise it beyond the heart. But some, the energy will only arise to the point of solar plexus. And therefore, when they pass, they leave the physical body at a break which appears to be at the solar plexus. But those spiritual will rise more and potentially feel the exit from the body through the crown, or through the heart, or the throat, or the third eye, depending on where their spiritual evolution occurs. So how do these two link together, the two tools? The rising of the Kundalini is the opposite direction from the birth of man or birth of matter from spirit as a bubble coming into the physical form. The return to spirit is the rising of the Kundalini, the awareness of life force, the concentration of what is to be focused upon. The desires of man mean they are forever limited or attached to the physical form, and therefore rebirth happens. And the base chakra, forever strong, means attachment to the physical world is bound to that person. The more desires, the more attachment to the physical life means the lower chakras are activated most strongly, and therefore the attachment to rebirth occurs. The awakening to one spiritually means less attachment to the physical world, but still not full awareness of what the process is to occur. And therefore rebirth will occur again. But one who lets go of desires and attachments which purely coincidentally, of course, is what we are studying, means they will remove themselves slowly at first from the attachment to body, to the physical world, to the needs of the world, and therefore will get closer and closer to their spiritual truth. Now, you may or you may not believe in the chakra system. And if you do not, consider this an evolution of your mind, if you evolution of your heart, if you prefer, but not the heart in the body, but the heart space that is within the mind. And then beyond the mind. So in the private groups over the next few weeks, I will show you how to be aware at what is true. To break the bonds of what is holding you back for another life. So then, let us look at one who is attached to the physical world. As I said, if they were but to think of a mango, they would guarantee birth but as an insect. You see, one that dies with this desire of life still strongly within their system, then their rebirth can happen in such a short amount of time, even just within a few minutes of leaving would take another birth, because their desires for the body or the physical world are so strong. So as they take their last breath, their mind is full of all they should have done, or what they want to do, all that they are losing, and therefore rebirth occurs quickly. Without any knowledge of a non-physical world, they close their eyes on one life and open them on the next. And as you evolve spiritually, that gap between one life and another becomes longer. And if you are so evolved, then that way may mean that you will live a life within the mind again, the astral world, and create what you want to create there. But realize you are still limited there. You'll either choose a birth or evolve sufficiently to go further. So the wheel of samsara, the wheel of desire, the wheel of becoming, the wheel of life, will turn forevermore, never stop, and either you are trapped on it or you're evolving after it or beyond it. And the opening to your spiritual self, the removing of the koshas, the blocks, the softening of the chakras, the rising of your Kundalini, your life force, is an indication you are stepping or attempting to step beyond the rebirth process. Now, the soul, of course, as was said, is one that watches. The soul is attached to that life that is being lived. And you only become aware of there is a soul when you point towards your own self and start to look at there is a soul. What is this soul? What does it look like? What does it do? This is the beginning of the stepping over the border of the wheel of samsara. To realize you are watching the wheel run. So it is very possible in your physical life to become aware of your soul. Even if you do not know exactly what it is, you can be aware of what is going on from it, the fruit of it, and not necessarily the tree of it. Now I guide you with this in these talks and others, as it is important for you that you know that other things are possible. Other ways of life being lived, of the chakras being opened, of your sense of self becoming stronger, of the boundless love, the knowledge beyond what you should know, the stillness that is within your depth. And there are some, when they come to talks like these, want to know, well, will I meet my partner? Will I gain money? Will there be a war? Are they not to play? Is it not more important that you step away from the play? Or do you want to know what the next scene is going to be? Nearly all people are trapped in the play. Few are beginning their journey away from the play. The play of life, the movie that's cast on the screen in front of your eyes. Those who are caught in the play will live one more time. So that is our journey. You must decide whether it's important to you or not. You must decide whether you want to live in that play, be born again, and try one more time. But what are you trying to do? Are you attached to the physical world? Are you willing to shed the physical things that are around you, that were once important, but now no longer? Those caught in the play will not appeal to you for very long. But you may dip your toe into that water at times, and you will know that those caught there are no longer your tribe. You will feel this as you evolve more and more frequently. And you can test whether this is true or not simply by looking inwards and deciding what is disturbed or in pain or possessing of the difficulties. Is there truth and stillness inside of me? And to take these steps, you would find it far easier to have a guide. If you know of one. Until next week. God bless you all. Mm.